Hello and welcome to Behind the Headlines for the week ending August 21st, 2020. I'm Michael Curran from the Ottawa Business Journal. Behind the Headlines is a podcast from OBJ to explore the most read local business stories of the week. And once again, this episode, I'm joined by my two colleagues, Peter Kavesi and David Sally, two of OBJ's editors. In today's podcast, we'll take a look at a possible business boom in Kemptville, a local biotech lab helping to develop a COVID-19 vaccine, and a major residential development plan for Vanier. So let's go right now behind the headlines. Story number one, we're going to start off with you, Peter. One of the projects OBJ launched earlier this year is something called OBJ Regional, where we're expanding our editorial coverage outside of Ottawa's urban core. And this week we had a story on a somewhat well-known road, County Road 43, which is near Kemptville. And the development of this road might lead to a little bit of a business boom. Tell us about that.
So the real news is that it's actually been a long-awaited news for the business community as well as local officials in Kemptville, which is a significant upgrade of County Road 43 in that stretch that goes through Kemptville. So it's something that's been desired for a long time, and recently the federal and provincial governments did step up with some confirmed funding that really sort of is going to move this project forward. But for businesses in Kemptville, this is really, really exciting news. And to see that, one really needs to go no further than Kemptville Retirement Living, which is located on County Road 43. They've been pretty open that an expansion plan has been as part of their business plan for quite some time. But at the same time, they've been pretty blunt in saying it would be hard to move forward with it with the county road as it currently is. In short, they say that there's a perception that left-hand turns in and out of the facility are almost not unfeasible, and even making right-hand turns at times can be a little bit dicey. So. Without the upgrade, they said the expansion would have had to been at a different location. So with the upgraded road, there are plans for a traffic circle nearby, and it would also trigger the construction of a new entrance to the retirement home. Because of COVID-19, the expansion plans are a bit on pause for the facility. But when you talk to the executives at the company, they're really, really excited because as they say, this infrastructure upgrade is going to open up the next boom for Kemptville and benefit a lot of businesses in the area.
And Dave, we want you to weigh in a little bit on the implications from a commercial real estate perspective. Kemptville is a satellite to community in Ottawa that's been growing. And as Peter said, there's going to be some benefits. But tell us about the commercial real estate implications.
Well, yeah, exactly, Mike. I mean, because as Peter was mentioning, this is going to help improve the traffic flow on County Road 43. And along with improved traffic flow, that you would hope would mean improved customer flow to various other retail and commercial outlets along the road. That's certainly what Kevin Mulligan hopes. He's the CEO of property developer Kevlar Developments. They own Giant Tiger, KFC along County Road 43, and they've attracted some other tenants, big names like Starbucks. And what do they all have in common? Well, they look at traffic counts constantly, and they want to be somewhere where the traffic flows well. And certainly, Mulligan is hoping that these upgrades are going to entice some new retailers rather to also come to the area. His company is planning an 84-unit development across 4 buildings. On vacant land it owns near the Giant Tiger over there. So, and Mulligan is really hoping that this upgrade will convince more businesses to kind of move into that area. And certainly that's the hope of North Grenville Mayor Nancy Peckford. She said getting the funding for the upgrades was a game changer for Kemptville. She said she called the road's condition deplorable from both a safety and flat traffic flow perspective. And she just, she noted that the road's also home to North Grenville's largest daycare and its high school. not to mention the Colonnade Retail Center. So, she said it's time for the infrastructure there to really kind of get up to speed with the community's growth, so to speak. And they've been waiting for it for a long time. And speaking of timelines, they're expecting to start construction on the project next year, and they think it'll probably take between 2 and 3 years before the whole thing gets finished.
Okay. Well, thanks for that, and good luck to Kemptville and all this development. We're going to turn to our second story, which is big news. Everyone, of course, is interested in COVID, and more specifically a COVID vaccine and whatever research is being done. Dave, I understand there's a company in Ottawa called Variation Biotechnologies that is making some significant progress. What are they up to?
Well, yeah, we've heard a lot in the news recently about big names like GlaxoSmithKline, Novavax. There are these multinational pharmaceutical giants who are all racing to come up with a vaccine for COVID-19. It's just been moving the research at an unprecedented pace in an effort to hopefully get a vaccine on the market by next year. Well, Ottawa has its own entry in this race. It's actually a subsidiary of a Massachusetts-based company called VBI Vaccines, but its Ottawa subsidiary, Variation Biotechnologies, is where the company does most of its R&D. That's at a facility on Hunt Club Road. You've got about 30 researchers there working with the National Research Council on a vaccine that would target COVID-19 and probably a couple of other well-known coronaviruses, SARS and MERS. So VBI Chief Executive Jeff Baxter says the new funding that they just received they got up to $56 million from the federal government. That was announced earlier this month. And they're going to use that money to really ramp up R&D and hopefully get a vaccine ready for clinical trials by the end of this year. As he says, it's really important for Canada to have a domestically created vaccine. So that way, if it is proven effective, it should give us a leg up on having a stable supply of doses for Canadians. This vaccine is apparently it's cheaper to produce than some other types. I'm no immunologist, but apparently it uses this spike protein structure that looks a lot like the real coronavirus, and in a sense, it's designed to sort of trick the immune system into triggering a response, and they're really hoping that this technology is going to prove effective, and that it's going to be able to start testing in humans before the end of the year, and if it is proven effective, VBI is hoping that it could be approved for widespread use, possibly by the beginning of 2022. And in the meantime, there's going to be probably more hiring here in Ottawa, as well as at a manufacturing plant in Toronto. So in general, this is quite a positive development. And, as Baxter says, there's a lot of vaccine expertise here in Ottawa at the NRC, at facilities like his. The University of Ottawa has got a world-class immunology department. So there's a great pool of talent here to draw on for this research, and hopefully it will bear fruit soon.
Wow, wouldn't that be fantastic if Ottawa played a small role in a vaccine? That would be incredible. Peter, we're going to move to the third and final story of the week, and it involves Vanier, Montreal Road, and a proposal for 3 towers. I've long thought Vanier was primed for some major development, particularly in the Montreal Road corridor that has such great proximity to the downtown and that. But anyway, there's a company called ML Devco, I think, that has a 3-tower proposal that is pretty significant. Give us some information on that.
Yeah, so this is a joint proposal between ML DevCo, as you mentioned, as well as Main and Main. They're really painting this as a gateway development to Vanier. It's located, as you mentioned, on Montreal Road, just across the Cummings Bridge, overlooking the Rideau River on the site of a former gas station, as well as a retail plaza. Um, it's a three-story development, a three-tower development containing, proposed to contain more than 1,000 apartment units in those towers would be between 22 and 32 stories. I guess we talk a lot about development plans on the podcast. There are two big things that really jumped out to me about this one. One is the players involved, Main and Main as well as ML DevCo. Both of them do have specialties in this type of urban redevelopment project. Main and Main is also the proponent behind the big development on the former Alterna Savings site in downtown on Albert Street. And as well, ML DevCo recently purchased a land assembly in Hintonburg, right where Wellington turns into Somerset by the old Suzy Q and LCBO. So definitely some interesting players involved in the project. And the other one is just the Vanier narrative, as you alluded to, Mike. We've been talking a long time about Vanier's potential as for redevelopment, and we're really sort of seeing now a lot of I'm going to say institutional interest. This is a big project, and just down the road, actually on Montreal Road, closer to the Vanier Parkway, there's another developer, Manor Park, that's proposed a three-story development. So definitely, the plans on the books are getting pretty interesting. I guess what's something that's always to watch is how quickly the developers, if they do secure the rezoning, do move on the project. Unrelated to these ones, but we did report on a couple of other construction projects breaking ground. And just as I was going through OBJ's archives, I realized how sometimes we end up seeing different variations and iterations of plans for years and years. And of course, we are in a very uncertain economic climate, but I think definitely the key takeaway is that interest in Vanier is picking up among developers.
Yeah, certainly is still some uncertainty for projects like this, but I like that word you use. It is the perfect gateway property because as you come down Rideau Street over Cummings Bridge, then that is the property that's right there as you cross the bridge. So it's prime land. Peter, we're going to start wrapping up. Give us a sense of what's coming up next week at Ottawa Business Journal.
So there's a really exciting virtual event happening next week. It's the launch of the Welch LLP Ottawa Business Growth Survey report. So we've planned a virtual event to launch the report, and it's really focused around trying to look to the future, understand how Ottawa is going to perform in a pandemic economy. So one part of this event, and we encourage everyone to register at obj.ca/events, is analyzing the results of the survey that we did at the beginning of the summer of several hundred local business leaders about their hiring intentions, their confidence in the local economy, digital work from home trends. So we're going to be sharing the results, where it will be David Coletto, the head of Abacus Data, research firm based here in Ottawa, that's going to be looking at the results and explaining what they all mean. And as well, Mike, I know you've been hard at work securing some pretty high-profile keynotes as well that are looking at some of the opportunities that are arising.
Yeah, earlier this week, Peter, we were very happy to confirm that the keynote for the event, this digital event, will be Michelle Romanow from CBC's Dragon Den, very significant and high-profile Canadian business leader, and maybe relevant to Ottawa, someone with a very significant background in the technology sector. So she'll be the keynote. So the event's coming up, as you indicated, this upcoming Thursday, which I think is August 27th. Starting at 11:30, and we'll probably wrap up sometime around 12:45. But the key reason, as you pointed out, Peter, to attend Michelle, besides the presence of Michelle, is the unveiling of that key data. Right, we've been at work for months and months compiling this data, and I think that in this type of very uncertain economy, uncharted waters, so to speak, people need data. We all need to have as much information as we can, And that's what the Ottawa Business Growth Survey, once again, will provide for the sixth straight year, by the way. So once again, I would urge people to go to obj.ca/events for that. As well, just a reminder that you can listen to this podcast on Spotify and also SoundCloud. You can watch us on OBJ's YouTube channel. Be sure to follow us and turn on notifications to understand or get a notification as to when there's a new video. So that's all the time we have for this week. On behalf of Peter Kavesi and David Sally, I'm Michael Curran, signing off for Behind the Headlines. Hope to connect with you real soon.